Hello everybody and welcome back here on BallinCraig Estate. The young man was taking a brief moment at the end of the last episode to admire the cows, standing looking at a bit of rubble that in some ways he wouldn't mind getting cleared up as well, but the contractor's already busy out in the yard here. In fact, they've asked him if it would be possible for him to move a couple of pieces of equipment so that they can get through, and the young man also needs to be getting on with, so there's straw in the field after the harvest, so but he's going to be struggling with doing baling and everything. So to begin with, he's just got to get some of this machinery just shifted out into the field or into the shed or something. So he's going to start with the old sprayer here. The baler is obviously a little bit big for the old Deutsch tractor, but it doesn't need to be working right now. In fact, the young man's thinking that he might try and employ the old baler, the one that makes the small ones for the field up here, and then use the round baler down on the wheat field, the larger field, and shift those bales up so they can get used later in winter. But to begin with, just be able to use smaller bales that can be stacked into different corners of the sheds that are filling out so rapidly with hay. So he's just going to leave this baler here for now, and then he's going to hook on the old one, take that up to the top field, and let the contractors get on with the clearance work down this end of the farm while he carries on with this bit. This time he does hook up the PTO as well, because he is actually intending to try and make some of the smaller bales. These are the ones that he remembers from spending his childhood days here on the farm. He knows it's quite a lot of hard work to stack them up on the trailer and everything like that, but given that he's on his own right now, he can't really handle a lot of big bales and trying to figure out where to put them. So he reckons this is a good idea, but he just needs to create a bit of space in the yard as well. Obviously the massey here and the grain trailer will be needed again soon down at the bottom field, but when it comes to that, he reckons he's going to need some help, and he's probably going to need this massey here to pull the bale trailer in the meantime, but then he can basically park it up in the field, move most of the bales by hand, and try and stack them as neatly as he can onto the trailer, and then get them down to the farm and get them shifted in. It's perhaps not the most ideal situation, but it's a balance of what you can do when you're on your own. Trevor is going to come home later in the afternoon, but he is already working some long days to try and make up hours for the time that he's kind of invested in helping the young man, and the young man's starting to feel that he really can't keep calling on Trevor to put in extra time on the farm. He's done a lot already, but he's gonna get the old baler out and give it a shot. He's pretty convinced that the Deutsch used to be able to pull the baler here, so it shouldn't be a problem. In the meantime, the contractors down in the yard are going to be getting on with their work as well. So, starts getting this machine on the go, just to see how many bales he's going to generate out of the first couple of rows, and how big a job this is going to be for him. It's quite hot in the sun here during the summer, so seeing the bales dropping out at a high rate almost already makes him sweat with the thought of how many of them he's going to have to shift afterwards. He is going to have to move the harvester a little bit as well, but there's plenty of space to work around for now. after the first few lanes of straw, there's already a lot of straw, so the young man has a quick look up and down the rows and decides that before he commits himself to filling this entire field, it will be better to try and stack a few on the trailer just to see how he gets on with it. He's going to have to drive in a bit gradually, stack a few up, and then move on a bit further up the field, but at least these ones he can lift by himself, so he feels he's got a chance. So without further ado, he gets on with lifting the first ones up. He reckons he's probably going to have to just put them down up on top of the trailer, then climb up and try and stack them properly once he's got a few up on the load itself as well. So yeah, it's kind of double lifting in many ways, but needs must when there's only one of you on the farm. He wonders if this is the kind of work that his uncle and Trevor have been doing for the last several years, and how bone-grindingly manual it is compared to the mechanics he's seen on more modern farms. As the young man is working away, sweat is dripping off his body, and he's abandoning all ideas of trying to stack them neatly, climbing up onto the trailer and organizing them better. It's such a short distance down to the farm that having to lift all the bales another time just to stack them neatly simply isn't worth it. Now, obviously, if he was driving a long distance from a field back to the farm, and there would be merit in stacking them tight and high. But in this case, right now, with the heat the way that it is and everything, he's happy just to get them on the trailer and basically get them down to the farm without them falling off, and then get them into one of the sheds. And with a half decent messy stack of bales that is starting to topple a bit and falling back off the trailer, the young man decides that rather than wasting time on trying to make it neat, he's going to run them down to the farm, and at the same time he's going to see how the contractors are doing. Then he can get the combine moved, make a few more bales once he's sorted out the space. He might have to stack them a little bit neater down on the farm just to make sure there's space, but he also wants to see how the contractors are getting on with their work. As the young man's heading down, he can see that the contractors look like they're just about finishing up another load. So before getting on with any unstacking of bales, he decides to just hop over and see how they're doing. He checks with the woman whose contractor company it is, and she explains that it's going on quite well. They're mainly clearing out rubble and old pallets and stuff like that now. They've noticed that quite a few old metal gates, like these red metal gates sitting over here by the fence, and there's some more left in here. There's quite a few of those around, and she's asking if he's absolutely sure he wants to get rid of them, because she thinks they will have been used to kind of gate the cattle in different places through the yard. The young man says, yeah, he's, the cows are going to stay up in the yard. He's not planning to expand the herd so drastically, that he's quite happy. She points out that they're actually worth quite a bit in scrap metal, and that if he's absolutely sure he wants to get rid of them all because they are worth a bit of money, it won't quite break even for the day's contract work, but it will actually, the resale value of that scrap metal will make it substantially cheaper for the day to have had them out working. So the young man agrees to that, and lets them get on with the work so he can get some bales stacked. After the truck leaves, the young man makes a snap decision to clear out one of the sheds. There were a couple of cows in there that have been calving recently, but the calves are doing well, and they were perfectly ready to come into the field. So he managed to convince the driver of the digger here to help him out, just by standing in the way of the cattle as he was moving them through the yard. The guy kind of shakes his head. I think really you ought to keep some of those metal gates, he says. The young man thanks him for his efforts in helping him, making sure the cows didn't run away, and shouts out, "It'll be fine. There are plenty of gates here on BallinCraig that we can manage, but this now means that I can get some of my bales stored a bit better. So I do appreciate the help," he says. Now, the shed is down the narrow path here towards the sheep. So it takes a little bit of maneuvering to get this trailer in without hitting the fuel tank right here on the corner. But the young man is starting at least to get used to the narrow bends here on BallinCraig Estate, and he rather deftly gets it maneuvered around so it sits perfectly in front of the gate door, so he can simply unstack bales and chuck them in here. This shed's not going to get used. The main stabling for winter, so with the back of this shed, and then these two sheds here. So this one is really only used when they have calving cows that needs a little bit of time. So now it's just a matter of picking up bales and getting them chucked into the building. You don't need to be super organized about it. Obviously we don't want them all piling up right at the door, so try and get them reasonably down the back. But this leaves space. And there might even be space for some of the round bales up here at the front. Things down. Probably not all of them. Some of them will have to go up to the shed up on the other yard, but that's okay. These smaller ones will be nice and easy, just to chuck a few into the cows for bedding now and then. So the young man carries on with that work to get this trailer emptied, so he can get on with clearing the rest of the field. He would like to get it done before Trevor makes it home, but with tired, slippy, sweaty fingers, he finds that he's actually losing grips on these bales quite a bit. Just as the young man is finishing up throwing the last bale in, he hears the contractor's truck returning back up the road. They've got a little bit left to clear over on the far side. As the familiar clanking and crashing of the gravel and rubble from the farmyard falling into the contractor's truck fills the yard, the young man heads back up towards the field for, well, a different kind of noise level. The sound of balers and tractor engines instead. He can feel that it's going to be hard work to do this several times over. But he feels that he's kind of committed himself now to getting this field cleared today, and then hopefully be able to start doing a little bit of the harvest tomorrow. Although the village summer fair is going to be on tomorrow as well. He's kind of hoping that he might be able to do both, but he knows that Helen is not around these days because she's helping her father, the vicar, set a lot up for the village fair. So he's not quite sure. He feels like he ought to show up and make an effort at the fair. He did cut the grass down on the fields that are going to be used, and yeah, he's kind of looking forward to it. The only thing is that it just seems to be falling right on top of a very busy time here on BallinCraig Estate. and one of the first times that the young man is starting to feel that he might also be starting to get financially a little bit on top of the situation again, where he's actually above the amount of money that he started out with here on the farm. That hasn't happened very often with the many problems there have been. But he sets to creating some more bales. At least he cools down a little bit as he's sitting here in the open tractor and enjoying the sight of his cows up on the field, the sound of the birds when he can catch them over the tractor engine, and generally life is pretty good here on BallinCraig estate. As the afternoon wears on, the young man works his way through the field until every single one of the little bales has been collected. It's hot work under the midday sun, and there's still plenty of more work left here at harvest time on the farm. The young man is sweating profusely as he's dragging the last few bales off, turning to toss them into the ever-growing pile. Thankfully, these are the last ones. After a while, he really started thinking that he should have stopped to the round bales instead of trying to carry on with the traditional bales. It will be easier in some ways in winter time to go and pick up a couple of these and cut them open for the cows, but nonetheless, it has been really hard work for him to get these in. The contractors have just been over. They are just about to leave for the day. They have finished clearing all the gravel and old wood and pallets and things like that from the last corner on the farm, and they're gonna be back tomorrow to collect the metal gates and then settle the final price for resale of scrap metal and their day cost. But that is it. The young man draws a sigh of relief as he hears the contractors heading out. He's simply leaning on the door, catching his breath. After recovering for a bit, the young man, tiredly, with aching limbs, climbs up and needs to get the grain trailer hooked back onto this tractor so that it's gonna be ready for cutting the wheat field down below. The weather is basically too good. There's indication that there might be some late evening rain from the weather forecast, so the young man in some ways is quite keen if he could at least make a start on the wheat field. He's been encouraged by finally making a bit of money from selling the grain, although it wasn't a fantastic price. It has kind of egged him on the fact that there's more income waiting down on that field. There's the security of bedding for the cattle and everything like that for the coming winter. So kind of almost feels like he has to crack on, although at this point he really does need a break. So he's going to stagger down towards the house and have a quick change of clothes because he is genuinely soaked at this point. Just as the young man rounds the corner, he sees Trevor come walking up the hill. "Hey lad," says Trevor, "how you been doing? Has Mike finished working on that combine yet?" The young man stands looking dishevelled in front of her. Yeah, it's all done, and I've harvested the top field." "What?" says Trevor. "Are you kidding me? You done all of that? You must be absolutely knackered." The young man smiles sweetly. "Yeah, I baled it too. I used the old baler so I could shift them by hand. Trevor looks at the young man and realizes how tired and sweaty he's looking. Well, he says, I gotta give it to you, lad. You really put in a day's work. Now you better get yourself in the shower and get going. The young man's looking a little puzzled. Get going? What do you mean? There's more harvesting to get done here. I am gonna have a change of clothes, but then I need to crack on. Trevor grins at the young man. Oh, you've definitely been working too hard. Did you forget what you promised? Promised? Says the young man. Oh God, he says, as if lightning has just struck from him. Helen, I said I would come down and help put up some of the tents for the country fair and everything like that. And in return, she was gonna help me at some point. Trevor grinned. That's it, laddie. I'm surprised you would have forgotten a promise you made to the young lady. I thought the two of you were getting a little bit smitten with each other. The young man blushes. I don't know what you mean, but okay, yeah, I mean, no, I hadn't forgotten. I've just been so busy today. There's been so many things going on, and would you mind sorting out the cows? There's a little bit of a cleanup needed, I think. Trevor grins. Get yourself in the shower, laddie, and leave it to me. I'll get everything set up for the harvest, and I reckon we'll be just fine waiting until the morning to get the next field done. You'll be all right. The young man smiled. I didn't even tell you. I also sold the grain up at the store. It wasn't a fantastic price, but we're finally back over the starting money. All the trouble that has cost us so much money this year has been recovered just from that one field. So I'm really excited to see how much we'll make out of the wheat. Trevor looks seriously impressed at the young man's effort. My goodness, you've been busy, lad. Seriously now. Go get yourself a nice cold shower and take your time. Get changed and head down and, take it easy. Don't lift too many heavy things while you're down there. I won't, says the young man, and sort of almost half stumbles backwards. I better get in the shower. I said I was going to be down there at 5, and it's 1:45 now. Oh God, I'm in a hurry. Trevor grins to himself, seeing the young man rush off into the house, and he notices the clear up in the yard. It's like, crikey, that boy's starting to get the grip of this place. He's got a massive clear out as well. What incarnation is going? Oh, look at all the space here, he says. He is genuinely impressed. Oh, less impressed with how the machines are sitting all over the place. He grumbles a bit to himself, but my God, this is taking me back to when we were all young and running this farm with some energy. Oh, this is great to see, he says. Right, well, I'll just go and drop me lunch. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of bales that lad has been stacking. Crikey, better make sure the ones in the bottom field are done with the round baler, otherwise he'll kill himself in the progress. So Trevor heads in to just drop off his work stuff before he's heading out to do the cows. The young man rushes out after a shower. He's still damp, his hair's wet, but he's already running late. He realizes that he did promise Helen that he would come down and help do some of the setup for the summer fair. This is kind of, it's an event that's a big deal for her dad. It really does mean a lot for the village. It's not a big village, so it's important to have these kind of events to make sure everybody appreciates life in the village. So he feels a bit bad that he's running late, but at the same time, this preparation almost couldn't have come at a worse time. Really just in many ways want to be getting on with the harvest right now, so but at the same time, forecast is talk about a bit of overnight rain, and there would be no harm in making sure everything is dry and to the best, but the grain is looking good. So anyway, he heads up towards the vicar's house and he pulls in right by the fish and chip shop. I reckon he's probably gonna grab himself one of those later after he had helped out. He's not quite sure how much exactly there is to do, but he goes and knocks on the back door. Meanwhile, up on the farm, Trevor is heading back out to have a look. He's almost a bit worried that the young man is working himself too hard into the ground, because there's a lot going on. Although he does realizes the young man has left the door open. That effectively would have allowed the cows to wander freely out into the yard, but he notices that the young man's also managed to shift the last couple of calves over into the field, which was something he was going to be doing anyway. So he really just needs to mainly get some clearing up done here, and maybe have a look at the silage, because it might be ready. It would be good just to top up the feed for the cows. Silage is looking brilliant. The only problem is they need to add some more to it at some point, so he's not quite sure exactly how they're going to do that, but one thing at a time, as Trevor thinks. Where's the front loader, he wonders. Christ, there's stuff everywhere, he mumbles to himself. Well, I suppose we are in the middle of harvest, but we're going to have to get a bit of a tidy up on the way soon. Ah, here it is, he says. He gets the trailer unhooked and starts bringing the tractor down. As he's driving into the yard, he makes a mental note that there's not an awful lot of fuel left in this tractor, but there's enough just to get this bit of yard work done, and after that maybe he'll shift a couple of the machines and then he'll get it refueled so it's ready for the bale work in the morning. Trevor decides that it'll be good to try and take a scoop or two of the silage out, just to give it a little test, see how the quality is. It seems to have fermented just perfectly, but yeah, the best test is the taste test. See how the cows takes to it as well. The silage topped up a bit and the cow area looking pretty tidy again. Trevor's quite content, so he starts mentally thinking about what the setup for tomorrow should be. Obviously, having to cross down over the main road, it will be necessary to plan things a little bit ahead. So he notices the young man's already put the other Massey back on the grain trailer, which he reckons is a very sensible choice. Maybe they can use the old Deutsch to pull the header trailer, get that down, and then the front loader can run the baler to begin with, and then swap over and pick the bales up. I'll be fine. Just has to remember to refuel as well, but this old baler can go away again, you know. Trevor slightly shakes his head at the fact that the young man actually decided to give this old thing a run again, but at the same time he can't help but admire the effort that's been put in today. So now that there's suddenly a lot more space in the yard, it's a lot easier to find somewhere to arrange everything. So for now, Trevor just pushes the bale up towards the wall there, because frankly he still thinks that after today the young man might be even more beset on trying to buy a round baler, or even hiring in contractors rather than relying on this old thing. But he hops down and gets it disconnected, brings the Deutsch back up to the field so he can get the header of the combine, so everything's basically set for the morning, all ready to go. He does wonder how much work Helen is expecting from the young man, but then he also reflects on the fact that Helen's actually been helping an awful lot on the farm, and on top of that she's still been paying for having her sheep looked after. So yeah, maybe it's just time to repay a favor or something like that. But Trevor gets on with these last few bits of getting things ready. tries to ensure he gets the header trail up on some flat ground. It's much easier to drop the head off when you're back on flat ground. You must remember to attach the PTO before trying to put it back on the trailer. Oh, it's purring like a kitten. Trevor smiles to himself. Mike seems to have done a good job. So with the header securely on the trailer, Trevor brings the combine down a bit. It's probably still going to stay here in the field, but might as well bring it closer to the gate. Anyway, there's a baler sitting down there. He might as well get the front loader hooked up to that, but... Right, mustn't forget. This thing needs refueling, and actually he should swap over to the bale spikes as well. The spikes are back on. Just need to get... it might be better to refuel first before hooking the bale up to it. Thankfully, there's still a good pile in the tank here. Trevor hadn't checked for a while, but take a quick look at the level indicates that it's actually about 3/4 full. Gosh, he says. I thought we'd used more than that, but nonetheless, let's get some fuel in this thing. At that point, Trevor's phone rings. It's the young man who asks if he comes back quickly. Could Trevor just take a roll of baling twine, because they need something to tie a few things together, and actually he's going to throw a couple of bales in the back of the pickup that he's just picked up, because they're going to make like a little area for children where they can sit and play with farming toys and stuff like that, so bales will be the perfect thing. Trevor nods and heads over to the workshop to get the baling twine and help the young man when he comes up to get those bales loaded in the car. The young man pulls up in a bit of a hurry. He's regained a bit of energy. Trevor's parked right here. Okay. He's just gonna wait and honks his horn. See if Trevor's gonna come and move the tractor. Trevor grins. Somebody's in a hurry. Wouldn't be trying to impress a certain young lady now, would we? He grins while he throws the baling twine into the back of the car. I'll move the tractor so you can get around for the bales. Something is wrong. Trevor is he's coaxing, but somehow the machine simply won't start. What is going on? This thing was running. The engine is still warm. It was fine a minute ago. What's this now? The young man steps out. What's the matter? Won't start, growls Trevor. It was running fine just a minute ago. I just refueled it and then I went over in the workshop, and now it's like nothing will... I'll give it a go, says the young man. I think I almost had it, says the young man. No, it's no good, says Trevor. Stop it. It sounds like there's something... I don't know. What's wrong? Trevor looks at him. How much fuel have we been going through, he says. The young man looks at Trevor and says, I don't know, I think maybe like half the tank or something like that. Well then, why is it showing 3/4 full? What exactly is in that tank? And that is the end of today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it, and we'll be back on BallinCraig Estate soon to find out what the mystery about this fuel tank might be. If you do enjoy the series, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It always helps to know that somebody's enjoying the content. Thank you very much for your kind comments as well during this series. But for now, it's thank you very much from Overcord Gaming, and see you again soon.